Hello everyone. So in my last video we discussed about the first chapter of standard 8 history and civics, and we discussed up to the reformation. We saw what the changes came in 14th century. Now in this video we will discuss about the industrial revolution. So you see that in the 17th and 18th centuries, merchants from the towns in Europe began moving to the countryside. They supplied money to peasants, artisans, and they persuaded them to produce for an international market. Now, with the expansion of the world trade and acquisition of colonies in different parts of the world, the demands for goods increased. And as a result, it was not most of the productions at that time, till that time it was done manually, and it was not possible to manually produce those goods and supply everywhere. As a result, gradually scientific invention and discoveries increased, and at the end of 18th century and beginning of the 19th century, so high demand of goods led to change from manual work to machine work. Industrial revolution began in England in 1750s. During 1600, overseas explorations had opened new markets for England, led to a thriving economy based on money. Then new financial institutions such as banks offered business loans that helped spur industrial growth. The most famous was the powerful Bank of England 1694. England had such natural resources in the form of coal and iron mines. Coal was a valuable source of energy to fuel machinery, and iron was used to make machines and products such as tools and cookware. Scientific improvements in farming during the 1750s to agriculture revolution, which became the base of industrial revolution. Trade flourished, markets expanded the late 19th century, but this was not only a period of expanding trade. It is important to realize that there was a darker side of this process. No doubt this is a positive side, that expansion of trade and closer relationship with the world economy means a loss of freedom. So negative point is loss of freedom and livelihoods. Late 19th century European conquest produced many painful economic, social and ecological changes through which the colonized societies were brought into the world economy. Colonialism started in the world economy. Now, what is the impact of this industrial revolution which came in England? Perhaps no other development in human history has had such far-reaching worldwide effect. So it created an impact in economic, social, cultural and political life of the people. First impact is urbanization. Now urbanization means that people migrated from villages to towns, and this established new cities and new towns for the industrial revolution. First is growth of new cities and industrial towns. Expansion of trade and commerce led to expansion of old cities and growth of new towns near the factories. Such cities had the concentration of factories, marketing and financial institutions such as banks and guilds, etc. Second is growth of trade and commerce. Industrial revolution developed, rail communication system developed, transport system developed, and with the use of faster developed transport system, national markets grew up at a very rapid rate. Then general prosperity due to mass production, large scale production took place. As a result, the goods were available at a very cheap price, and it was available to each and every people. It was within the reach of the people. Now, negative impact of urbanization is the slums, overcrowding and poor housing conditions. Now, near the factories, the people were living, and these factory workers, they were living in a very unhealthy conditions, without any proper sanitation or drainage system. So they were overcrowded, they were living in a very overcrowded place, and they were living without proper sanitation and drainage system. Unhealthy conditions they were living. Exploitation of the workers. With that, the workers were exploited. How? They have to give long hours, but they were getting very minimum wages. So they were very poorly paid. Even the women and children were also engaged in the factories at lower wages. So the workers were the worstly affected due to urbanization. Next comes the capitalism and imperialism. Rise of capitalism. Industrial revolution gave rise to a capitalism as a system of economy. So capitalism is a system of economy. Big industries producing goods at a mass scale. they are and supplying the goods at a very cheaper rates, and they actually, in other words, we can say they convert the workers into mere wage earners, while actual profit is being got by the factory owners. Then imperialism, another impact of industrial revolution and capitalism was the rise of imperialism. Raw material increased to enable the factories to run. The search for new colonies resulted in the growth of competitive imperialism. Means a system, remember, means a system in which rich and powerful countries controlled and even occupied other nations to exploit their resources for their own economic and industrial benefits. And in this respect, our country is the brightest example. We all know that Britain came in England, British came in India, and they established colony in our country. So our country, for more than 200 years, it is a colonial country. It was under the British. Many people, there was a mad race actually. All the people, all the powerful country, they are madly running to establish the colonies, so that they will get the supply of the raw materials, as well as they can also get a market to sell their products. And from 1970 to 1914, almost all the countries of Asia and Africa had come under the control of one or other imperial power. Then socialism, industrial society and socialism. Industrialization brought men, women and children to factories. Even children were also not out of it. Work hours were often long. Already we have seen wages were poor. Unemployment was a very common factor. So especially during the time of low demand. So we can see that how the workers were worstly affected. They had to do longer duration of hour. They had to work. They will get very low salaries. And they will not get a permanent job. Actually, these are not permanent jobs. Low demand time, they did not have any work. And also we have seen in the urbanization that how they were poorly, their housing facilities were poorly made. So they were living in a very bad conditions. As a result, mid-19th century in Europe, socialism was a well-known body of ideas that attracted widespread attention. Socialists were against private property and saw it as the root. So people understood that this is the root of all evils. Already we have seen that capitalism, factory owners actually made the huge profits, and the workers who are actually working, they were merely the wage earners. So now the socialist against the private property and saw it as the root of all social ills of the time. Now you see the match the following. Rebirth means Renaissance, Martin Luther, Reformation, Industrial Revolution, Imperialism, Galileo scientist, socialism against private property. Fill in the blanks. Printing press developed in 1450s. Columbus discovered America in 1492. The Industrial Revolution began in England. Industrial Revolution led to capitalism and imperialism. Socialists were against the private property. That's all. Thank you.